When does that take off?
Well, it's taking off right now. We're having very large digital banks coming onto the network. We have Nubank that has 100 million customers in Latin America. We have Revolut coming on. We'll make announcements soon about US banks coming on as well, and other large wallets that are coming onto the network. So we're live in 70 countries, and you can move any currency to any currency in real time 24/7 on a weekend,
Right.
With Bitcoin in the middle. So it's happening.
Hey, what's going up, bull runners? Welcome back to the channel. Time to buckle up because something massive is happening in the crypto world, and it's got people whispering about a global shift that could change everything. Imagine this, a shadowy move by one of the world's biggest powers to lock down crypto ownership, plus a hidden player scoops up hundreds of millions in a coin that you might already own. And what about the whispers of a former PayPal insider hinting that US banks, yes, the big ones, are about to dive headfirst into Bitcoin? Sounds like a conspiracy, right? But here's the thing, it's not just talk. These stories are breaking right now, and they could flip the market upside down. The problem, if you're not paying attention, you might miss the biggest wealth building opportunity of 2025 or get caught on the wrong side of a crackdown. The solution? Well, stick with me for the next few minutes as we unpack these headlines, break down what it means for you and your wallet, and show you how to stay ahead of the curve. And time is ticking. These markets don't wait for anyone. And here's a kicker for you as well. I'll drop a free ebook with the exclusive altcoin secrets that could help you spot the next big winner. Plus, we will be heading over to X to find out all the breaking news happening in the financial world today. We're going to head over to Forex Factory and find out all the important news that you need to know and what the results were so far this week. Plus, we will be checking XRP in the charts. We're also going to be looking at the long-term and short-term momentum waves. We did just have a crazy flip to the downside on momentum for XRP. We'll also be spotting out the important support and resistance levels that are just ahead of us. And so much more in today's video. But first, let's head over to CoinMarketCap and check out the overall health of the crypto market today. Total market cap's coming in at $3.35 trillion. It is down 1.5% in the last 24 hours. As we can see on the 30-day chart here, we've been trading relatively sideways for quite some time here since about May 10th, and going sideways on this level here as far as market cap at 3.4 trillion. We have broken back down below that. Our next level of support is going to be 3.22 trillion in this market, or we may be retesting the $3.2 trillion level. We have had $184 billion worth of trading in the last 24 hours. Fear and greed index is cooling off at a 61, still in the greed level though. Last week was a 76, yesterday was a 65. Altcoin season index is still holding strong as Bitcoin season. It's a 23 out of a 100 scale. Bitcoin dominance dropping below 63% for the first time in a very long time, currently sitting at 62.8%. Bitcoin ETF starting to rally back this week. It started off really lame this week, only 25 million inflows into the ETFs. Yesterday, 434 million. Today's reporting at 432 million. So when you zoom out to the yearly charts here, as you can see, we are starting to build momentum going into the end of the week, even though prices are coming to the downside. Last week had an amazing inflow week, $2.7 billion. So far this week, we're already at 893 million inflows. Top 5 cryptos by total market cap. Bitcoin, number 1, of course, 105, almost $106,000. Number 2, Ethereum at 2641. Number 3, Tether at $1. XRP, number 4 at $2.24. BNB at $677. And Solana, number 6 at $167. Heading over to Forex Factory to check out the news that broke today. So we did have the unemployment claims come out. And this is what we talk about every single week when this unemployment number comes out. Lately, it's been a neutral number or a better number than the forecast. Unfortunately, not this week. So forecasted 229,000 jobs report came in way hotter. 240,000 unemployment claims. That means not looking good for the economy. And unfortunately, we saw what happened to Bitcoin's price and other altcoins starting to drop on response to this poor jobs report. The preliminary GDP quarter over quarter came in a better number. It was forecasted at minus 0.3%, but it was only minus 0.2%. So that's actually a positive thing, but the unemployment claims are not good because more people not having jobs, not having extra income that they can spend on other things such as crypto. Tomorrow being Friday, we'll be seeing the core PCE price index month over month come out, and we will report that back to you tomorrow. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out any information. Heading over to X, we got a lot of stuff to cover. As you heard in the intro, China is now banning ownership of Bitcoin and crypto again. As you know, they've done this in the past. China had already enforced a comprehensive crypto ban in 2021, but recently they said, all right, we'll let you guys start owning crypto again. And then now, May 29th, cutting it off. Some people are suggesting that this news is just market manipulation, a current concern supported by a 2025 financial innovation study showing how fraudulent trading can distort Bitcoin prices. So with the jobs report news coming out, we do know that the United States is potentially moving to the Bitcoin strategic reserve. It's been announced, but they haven't made the purchase of Bitcoin. Bitcoin could become basically a weapon worldwide because the person who owns the most Bitcoin, or the country who owns most Bitcoin, would then have all of this power over this financial instrument. So it's interesting to see that China backing off of this. Is it a joke? Is it real? Are they just trying to create fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the market? Because of the fact the Bitcoin conference is going on, people are really starting to pay attention. But we'll continue to keep you updated when China allows Bitcoin again, maybe next month in their country. Breaking 2, Coinbase adopts Chainlink proof of reserves to increase transparency of its CBBTC reserves. If you're not familiar, Coinbase has its own wrapped Bitcoin called Coinbase Bitcoin, and now they're going to show proof of reserves. As you know, a lot of news going around the markets right now with proof of reserves because of Michael Saylor saying he will not show his proof of reserves for MicroStrategy out of safety concerns and security concerns. Other companies are coming out in their face saying, wait, we're being completely transparent. You should as well. So it's interesting to see Coinbase coming out and letting everyone know for our stablecoin reserves, it's going to be 100% proof through Chainlink. And one thing to pay attention to, most people in the crypto space don't pay attention to TradFi or traditional finance, but the big thing going on right now is the United States bond pricing, the 10-year, the 30-year, the percentage rate that is going right now. We are starting to pull back, which is nice. We want lower long-term rates through the bonds because that shows a stronger economy. Well, as we can see here, Treasury did receive $17.869 billion of offers for a buyback, but they only accepted $2 billion. So under Zero Hedge post here, this person, Sightbringer, made a really great reply that I would like to share with you guys as well. So the U.S. Treasury received $17.869 billion in offers from primary dealers and market participants who wanted to sell bonds back to the government. So they are owning the bonds now. They want to sell them back. And in a sneaky way, Treasury only accepted $2 billion. So a lot of people wanted to sell them, but they're like, we're only going to buy $2 billion worth. And they made sure to say this is not POMO. Translation, they're trying to walk a tightrope right now because they want to inject selective liquidity without triggering a psychological alarm bell of full quantitative easing, meaning they are going to start pumping massive amounts of liquidity into the market secretly through the bond market. But they do need people that want to buy those bonds, and then they're also going to ask people to sell those bonds. Now, right now, they're selling them back to the Treasury, and Treasury decided to buy $2 billion. Now, if they would have accepted the full $17.8 billion, it would signal desperation coming from the Treasury. And if they accepted none, liquidity would continue tightening and increase the risk of a snap credit event. And we don't want to run into an issue where we have credit default within our nation as a country. So by doing this $2 billion, they're testing the market reaction, and they are avoiding the stigma of permanent open market operations, signaling stealth liquidity support without committing to QE. Now, as a Bitcoin and a crypto holder, we want QE. We want it as much as possible. We want more liquidity coming into the markets because price goes up from there. However, the flood of offers, nearly $18 billion, is a major tell that there's so much selling pressure underneath the whole system. The capital's begging for exit. These people are holding these bonds. They want to offload them as fast as possible. And third, the Federal Reserve can't taper a belief collapse. So everyone's pretending that the market is fine right now, right? Everyone's talking about how everything's going just fine, but in reality, the underlying situation is not fine at all. But these micro liquidity injections are the new fire extinguisher, small, reactive, and revealing just how flammable the room is. So every time they say it's not POMO, which is permanent open market operations, as you know, our government is basically whatever they say, they're doing the complete opposite of. So they are starting this. But the real trigger event, the one markets are watching, is not economic, it's narrative. Once the myth of control fractures, when markets realize the Fed isn't in charge and the Treasury can't stabilize debt markets without monetizing, that's ignition. So when we take a look at these bond rates right now, they're coming in at 4.30, and they were just recently trading at 5, which is insanely high and not good for a 10-year yield. As we can see this week, we do have a red candle, which is positive because the rates are starting to come down. But as you can see, the most recent level of support is all the way down here at 3.89%. And we haven't been at these levels since the week of April 7th. And when we look at the 30-year, it also has a down week, which is positive. But the 30-year just last week peaked out at 5.15%. Now, when we look at our short-term momentum wave, it has reached a peak of 100, and it would be great for it to be coming down and resetting back at 0 over the next couple of weeks. So we'll continue to follow that for you as well. And also the 10-year has also reached a peak at the 100 level and needs a reset as well. And moving on, so Weebus International Limited is to buy $300 million worth of XRP to establish a strategic reserve, develop infrastructure, and accelerate global expansion. Now, if you guys remember yesterday or 2 days ago, we talked about how Ethereum, there's a gaming company out there that just bought a whole bunch of Ethereum to start stabilizing their Ethereum strategic reserve. So obviously everyone knows about Bitcoin strategic reserve and all these companies are using them, but now you're starting to see that they're coming into other coins as well. Ethereum, now XRP, this is a major one. A lot of companies are starting to think about doing Solana. There's a lot of whispers about that one as well. But this is fantastic news for XRP. Now, obviously not relating in the charts. A lot of fundamental news has been coming out as of recently, and it has not reflected well in the charts. Totally fine. We just hit Bitcoin new all-time highs. A lot of people are taking profits. That's going to be understandable, but we have to continue watching the charts, which we'll get into that at the end of this video. So if you're looking for just the charts, feel free to fast forward, but make sure you stay for that part. And speaking of great news for XRP, besides that, the Saudi prince funds their public XRP treasury company. Hidden Road announces crypto over-the-counter trading. Hyperscale Data plans a $10 million XRP buy, and a Chinese company is financing $300 million for their strategic reserve, aka Weebus International Limited, who is buying their $300 million worth of XRP. Now, that does go back to the problem with this announcement today. Did China really ban ownership of Bitcoin and crypto? So we'll definitely keep you updated on all of those moves combined. Also, Spain's biggest bank, Santander. Some of you guys may even have a loan with them, a bank loan. People get car loans, things of that nature. Plans to launch a stablecoin to expand crypto services for retail clients via its digital bank, Open Bank, per Bloomberg. So already we're getting word of these banks that are starting to really bring on and onboard crypto, Bitcoin, XRP, and others. And as we've been talking about on this segment of this channel, it's continuing to happen. The world is switching to blockchain. As you saw in the intro of the video, these are the words from former PayPal president, who also claims that US major banks are gearing up to load up on Bitcoin. And we are already seeing that. As we see from this report here, Santander already getting involved. Also, we do know that US banks are also thinking about making their own stablecoin, but now they're also going to start gearing up to load up on Bitcoin as well. And as you heard from that summary report, Ripple's Hidden Road launches over-the-counter crypto swaps in the United States, opening institutional access to cash-settled trades across major digital assets. Also, breaking $9.3 trillion Vanguard tells Bloomberg that they still don't plan on offering Bitcoin to their clients. Now, we just heard JP Morgan saying that they're going to allow clients to buy but not custody Bitcoin through them. Vanguard's going the next step and saying we are not going to offer Bitcoin to our clients. We don't think that Bitcoin is a good long-term asset. As you can see in this post, they put their Vanguard ship sinking to the floor. Historic mistake, according to Bitcoin historian. Also, as we've been covering, the Fed minutes that did come out, unfortunately, did not lower the federal funds rate or interest rate. We're still at 4.5. They're taking a cautious approach, appropriate amid uncertainty. The Fed is well positioned to wait for clarity on outlook, minutes say. Now, we are seeing a huge dump to the downside in crypto as of the last couple of days. Is this on purpose, leading to this huge amount of liquidity that's about to be injected back into crypto? Because FTX tomorrow will be distributing over $5 billion in stablecoins to their creditors. So this is going to be tons and tons of money coming back into people who held and believe in crypto still. They'll be getting their refund from FTX. They're probably going to want to redistribute that into coins that they are now believing in. They're actually going to be buying at a discount. That's potentially market manipulation. It's these big players that are going to be getting a large chunk of this $5 billion, selling off their current holdings, pushing the price down so they can scoop it up slower and then make it run to the upside. But we do also have a report here from Glassnode saying spending by older Bitcoin holders is heating up again. Aggregate volume from the 1 to 5 year cohorts, people that have been holding Bitcoin for 1 to 5 years, just hit 4.02 billion. This is the highest since February. Older coins are on the move. So could this be a sign of altcoin season finally about to be here? If you guys remember a long time ago, the narrative was that coins had a specific rotation, right? There was the Bitcoin run. Bitcoin always ran a massive run, and then Bitcoin maxis would take profits, and then they would move it into Ethereum, and Ethereum would start to massively pump. And then after Ethereum pumps, all of the crazy micro cap coins pumped. That was the rotation of old. That hasn't been necessarily true over the last couple of years. However, right now, these holders that have been holding for 1 to 5 years, Bitcoin hitting all-time highs, they are definitely starting to take some profits, and you can see that as they've sold off $4.02 billion. So there is also an additional $4.02 billion dry powder out there that could be moved into Ethereum, Solana, other layer ones, and then also trickling down into your altcoin season coins and your meme coins and your low cap gems as well. So we could see some explosive moves for altcoins coming in the next couple of months. We've got Bitcoin maxis selling off, taking some profits. And then we also have FTX releasing $5 billion. That's a combined $9 billion of dry powder out there on the sidelines right now that people can scoop up tokens with. And an interesting move by the SEC. Obviously, we know that they're still working out the XRP case, but the SEC drops the lawsuit against crypto giant Binance. The SEC and Binance have filed a joint motion to end a nearly 2-year legal battle in the agency's latest back down from its prior crypto enforcement actions. The motion mentioned the SEC's crypto task force might impact and facilitate the potential resolution of this litigation, and that the regulator believed dropping the suit was appropriate in the exercise of its discretion and as a policy matter. The motion also bids that the lawsuit to be dropped with prejudice, meaning it can't be filed again. And the SEC and Binance had paused the action in February and again in April, saying that the agency's crypto unit could see the agency eventually drop the case. The SEC sued Binance, CZ, and its US-based arm BAM Trading in July of 2023, alleged the violated securities laws, mishandled customer funds, and misled customers. Binance and CZ settled a separate case with the Department of Justice in 2023, agreeing to pay $4.3 billion fine and admitting that the company violated sanctions, was an unlicensed money transmitter, and failed to implement appropriate anti-money laundering measures. So SEC continues to drop the case, but the one most important case that needs to be dropped is still Ripple versus SEC. It is in the works. They have gone back to Annalisa Torres. We'll continue to keep you updated when more information comes out on that. All right, so jumping over to the charts for XRP, as we can see, 2 weeks in a row now of downside candles, unfortunately. We had a recent peak up here at $3 or $2.63. This weekly candle still has 3 days left in it. It did officially break below the 10 exponential moving average. We do have a 30 exponential moving average on the weekly at $2.06. That will be a level of interest and a level of support for the weekly. But when we take a look at our spider lines chart, our support and resistance lines that come to us from the drop of 2018 with the pivot point of the high of 2019, draw those lines into the future and they give you support and resistance. Well, we did. The resistance and support levels have been spot on. And the level we've been talking about for the last week was this level down here of support of $2.25. we did, as of today, officially lose that level. Yesterday, a bodied candle closed. And right now, as of today, this candle literally just kicked off 45 minutes ago, is a red continuation candle to the downside. So let's take a look at where price may be going to the downside. Well, we do have our next level of support here at $1.90 to the downside. However, we did see on the weekly chart, there's a 30 exponential moving average that will be coming in at $2.06. And that also corresponds with this drop right here in the bottom of $2.08 that came to us from May 6th. Now, the one thing that bothers me the most right now is that we have now officially on our long-term Wolfpack momentum indicator dropped below the zero line as of today. Now, if we get a steady 2-3 green candles in a row and it makes a quick climb back to the upside, that would be fantastic. In fact, as we saw the initial break above this level, which was on April 25th, it ran up a little, came back, retested the zero line, even transitioned into a red indicator, but immediately started surging back to the upside. As of today, though, we do have a deeper penetration. Last time we had solid penetration through the zero line on the daily charts, turning to bearish momentum was here on February 4th. And as you can see, after February 4th, where price had an initial starting point of $2.70, we continued driving to the downside, ultimately reaching that $1.60 level of support on April 7th and have been charging to the upside pretty decently ever since. And as you can see, we did break to the upside on our momentum indicator, long-term momentum on April 25th. And when we did that, price was trading at $2.16, and it did make that 50-cent run up to the $2.65 level. One other thing with confluence of negative signs popping out of this is the fact that our trend line here that did come from that bottom of April 7th, it also had a tap point right here on May 6th. It did officially break for us to the downside on May 23rd. So some levels to watch to the downside of what we're watching for. $2.06, the 30 exponential moving average on the weekly chart. If we lose that as well, we very well could be returning back to that $1.90 level. Those are downside targets. Now, to the upside, if we do rebound in the next 24, 48 hours and we start making our move to the upside, the first thing that I'm waiting for is to break back above the 10 exponential moving average. The 10 exponential moving average on the daily is currently sitting at $2.30. Once we break above that, then I'll feel confident bullish momentum is coming back in. As we can see last time when we had this test of this trend line here, once price finally broke back above the 10 exponential moving average, we went on that 50-cent run to the upside. Now, for those of you that have been paying attention as well for a very, very short-term target, what we have is our 3-hour 1100 exponential moving average. This is something I've been covering with some of the day traders. By the way, if you're not using Blowfin with us, there's a link down in the description below. You do get a 10% deposit bonus for up to $50,000. So that's really exciting for all of our subscribers. So as we can see right here, the 3-hour exponential moving average coming in at $2.21. That very well could be a support level that we rebound off of. So when we take a look at what we were talking about a couple of days ago, it was the 2-hour, we lost that level, going to the 3 hours the next, and then the 4-hour. And by the way, if you have not tried this yet, it's the 1100 exponential moving average. It works on all charts. It's pretty amazing. But if we do lose that 3-hour and we continue this downward momentum that we're experiencing right now, we do have a level of support here at $2.11 as well. So I'm trying to find us the closest support level instead of, I don't want to be bearish. Unfortunately, we're looking like we might be turning bearish. But right now, the 4-hour level is something that we could watch for, $2.11. Now, when we look at Bitcoin, it's doing the same thing, except for it had such a massive run and outperformed everything. It's on a different time scale. So as we can see right now, this is the 30-minute charts. The 30-minute 1100 exponential moving average is here, 104,792, and about that range. It'll continue to climb a little. It also comes into support one of our major support and resistance areas we were talking about weeks ago. That's the 104,997 to 104,337. After that, we got the 45-minute, and the 45-minute, this is where we start to look, like if things are really going to start to turn bearish for us, it starts to look a little more scary. The 45-minute, it also will collide with our other supply and demand zone here at 102,000. That one's going to collide probably about here, May 30th, maybe June 1st or so. So you got like 24, 48 hours before that climbs up into that level. But those are levels that I'm watching to the downside for Bitcoin. The 30-minute 1100 exponential moving average, which is here at 104,000. If we take a look at Ethereum, we can see that it just now reached the 10-minute exponential moving average, the 1100 exponential moving average, as a support level. And then if we look at the 15-minute, if it breaks through this 10-minute, it could be dropping down to here, 2573. Now, I did make a chart that I broke them all down on one chart. So I just plugged in multiple 1100 exponential moving averages, as you can see here, and you can see the price breakdowns on the way to the downside. So right here, for example, this one is going to be the 30-minute. Like I said, that one comes in at 104. The next level down here, the 60-minute is at 100,000. And then down here, this is the 2-hour, 95,000. Now, I don't see pricing dropping there yet. It has to go step by step on the way down. So the most important thing, the most important level I'm watching for right now is this level here at 104,722 for Bitcoin. And if we do the same exact thing here on Ethereum, the one next down to it is here at 2581. That is the 720 minute. So that's the 12-hour blue line, which you can see it's about to contact now. Below that one, if it continues its drop to the downside, it's going to have this level here, which is 360 minutes. That would be the 3-hour. And that would be at 2537. So when we're looking at Ethereum, actually, it's broken above almost all of the 1100 exponential moving averages on this chart that I've made, and it's looking relatively bullish. Obviously, it is having a pullback here, but it's gotten above all of these levels. And when you take a look at Ethereum on the long-term momentum, our 12-hour is still bullish territory. Let's look at the daily. The daily is still bullish. So when you look at Ethereum, it is more bullish in the charts than XRP at the moment. All right, and so here we have the XRP on the same page here as far as the charts that we created. And we see this level right here is the next one, 240 minutes, which is going to be your 4-hour chart here. So we got the 4-hour 1100 exponential moving average. After that one to the downside, and that one comes in at 210. Then we have this one here, which is the 360, which will be your 6-hour chart here. And that one gets us down to $1.90. So we're having a pretty significant drop at this moment while I'm recording this. Let's look at the 5-minute. It's had continuous drops here, unfortunately, losing quite a bit of momentum as far as XRP goes. Bitcoin also taking a pretty significant crash here while we're recording. Ethereum doing the same. So hopefully you wrote down those levels that we just talked about. You can also, if you have the Trading View Premium, you can add as many of these indicators onto your chart as you would like and add all of the 1100 exponential moving averages. But it is a really interesting tell of where price is going. So as of right now, we were just talking about Bitcoin coming down to this level. And sure enough, it did just tap off of this. This is the 30-minute level as far as Bitcoin's price goes. And it hit it and it rejected to the upside. This would be a fantastic spot if it was finally going to turn around for us. Now let's look at the 45-minute. 45-minute gets us down here 102,000.
Hey, bull runners, check this out. If you want to learn how to find the next 10x, 50x, or even 100x altcoin in this video, listen to this. Our research team posted GOAT on the 13th of October of 2024 when it was right at a penny, and since then it rallied to over $1 and it's currently still up over 5,000%. That's like turning $1,000 into over $50,000. Our team called Pendle at only a $16 million market cap, or 16 cents, back on February 18th of 2023, all the way back here, and since then it's rallied up over 4,000%. That's a 40x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $40,000. Our team also called BitTensor Tau September 15th, 2022, before the token was ever even launched. And since then, Tau has rallied over 2,000%. That's a 20x. Our team even said Solana is most likely to be one of the easiest trades next year, and this was posted December 29th, 2022, on the day that Solana bottomed out at around $8. And since then, Solana looks like it's up over 2,500%. That's a 25x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $25,000, and the bull run is just getting started. The list goes on and on and on. Our team called Sui, Ondo, and even some of the biggest cult-based meme coins like MOG back in July 20th of 2023, the day that MOG launched. So if you want to learn how our team is finding these altcoins before they explode, we just launched Altcoin Pro University, where our research team gives you real-time altcoin picks with explosive potential for this bull run, along with 100+ expert curated classes crafted by industry experts to discover these gems yourself, on top of our live weekly calls every single week for in-depth crypto market analysis and daily updates. And that's just a fraction of what we offer inside of Altcoin Pro University. Just go through the link in the description below, get in right now, watch the 26-minute video covering everything that Altcoin Pro University offers.